Welcome back, YouTubers. I hope you had a great bank holiday during lockdown. Today is another market moments video, and I thought I would talk about how Ford has gone all Memphis Raines and treating their factories like Elanor, how Zuckerberg is getting ready to take a little chunk out of Bezos' pocket, and is Alibaba also looking to take a piece out of Bezos' pocket as well? And finally, why you don't know much about Whitbread, but you do actually know them pretty well. While the intro video plays, hit the like button if you've seen the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. So, for those of you who haven't seen Gone in 60 Seconds, first of all, go and find the movie and watch it. One of my favourite car movies. But until then, Elanor was the name dubbed to the 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT 500, which was a unicorn for Memphis Raines, played by Nicolas Cage.
What's a unicorn?
Fable creature. You know, the horse with the horn, impossible to capture. It's the one car, no matter how many times you try to prove something, always happens.
So, why is Ford treating their factories like Elanor? Well, it seems as though something seems to always go wrong. Ford reopened their factories and had to reclose two of them already. Last week on Monday, Ford's American assembly plants reopened for production, with various health precautions and working at half capacity. Then, on Tuesday, two employees at their Chicago plant tested positive for COVID-19, and so the plant had to get shut down. And the same thing happened in the Michigan plant as well. I mean, it almost sounds like a Craig David song, 7 days. Now, Ford weren't the only ones to open their factories last week. GM and Chrysler also reopened. Now, why is this good news? Well, 9.9 million people in America depend on the automotive industry for their livelihood. Therefore, if the car companies can successfully reopen, it will provide that all-important hope that life can get back to normality. But as we can see from Ford, this clearly is no walk in the park, as shutting down a factory of thousands of workers each time someone tests positive for COVID-19 can never really become a viable way to run a business. So, until we have a proven tried and tested vaccination, every company has to just get back to the drawing board to work out the best, safest way to get back to work while ensuring the safe health of all their employees without affecting the company itself. On to our next story. Now, everyone knows by now the most valuable company in the world is Amazon, and they show no signs of slowing down their growth anytime soon. So most of their money is coming from their e-commerce part of their business. Now, you probably have fallen into the trap of an ad on Facebook selling you some crazy new amazing product from a seller you've never heard of. The likelihood is that you ended up buying that item from Shopify. This is a platform that allows small businesses to have a large online presence without having to divulge half of their profits to the Amazon bully. A few weeks ago, Shopify stepped up their game even further to take on Amazon by launching their own marketplace app called Shop. However, a new app will find it extremely difficult to achieve the same foot traffic as Amazon, who has managed to build up theirs over many years. Or is it? Just like in traditional retail, when a company felt like they wanted to get more people to come through their doors, they would pay a little bit extra to open a shop in the prime areas of the city where most people will walk past. Now, if you're spending your online time on Amazon, it's quite safe to say that most of your other time is spent on either Google or, more importantly, Instagram or Facebook. Now, this is probably why Zuckerberg is the youngest billionaire, because he has clearly identified this fact and has decided to join forces with Shopify. Shopify have decided to partner up with Facebook by providing the Shopify e-commerce platform to help get shops up and running on Facebook and Instagram. Now, with some dated figures, we know that there are over 60 million businesses on Facebook and that over 6 million businesses are actively advertising on Facebook. And of course, the foot traffic, where there are 1.7 billion people using Facebook on a daily basis. Now, what if the users who acted on an ad never had to leave Facebook in order to purchase their items? Well, that's where this partnership comes to play. We all know how lazy people are becoming these days, and people's attention span is becoming even lower. And to make sure I still have your attention, why not hit the like button? But if a potential customer didn't have to leave Facebook or Instagram in order to buy your product, it should technically be easier to see your return on advertising spend increase. Now, with every business riding the e-commerce bandwagon, it's a perfect time for this Facebook and Shopify e-commerce push. But hey, remember, Facebook's main revenue stream is from the adverts. But now they can also take a small fee for any product that's also sold through their platform. They used to say diversification was the key to success, but now it seems like it's all about double dipping in the same pot. Now, obviously, Amazon has made a name as being the king of e-commerce, but Facebook has always had the title for the most active users, therefore making it a great platform to also sell products to customers. So, on to Alibaba. This company has always been on my eye. This was one of the first companies I started investing in, just because I felt that they were pretty undervalued. But what does Alibaba actually do? Well, essentially, the best way to think of Alibaba is to think of the Chinese version of Amazon. Just like how Jeff Bezos became the richest person in the world with Amazon, in China, the co-founder of Alibaba, Jack Ma, became the richest person in China. But how did he manage that? Basically through diversification. They're in the wholesale business with their Alibaba and AliExpress companies. They're in direct-to-consumer business with Taobao. They are in the retail platform business for other brands, basically becoming an online mall for retailers to sell through their Tmall. Then they have their own payment scheme, Alipay, which is essentially like PayPal. And then they also have their cloud business, which is Alibaba Cloud. Their stock was slightly affected a little bit back when the US-China trade wars began, but didn't make much of an impact, as most of Alibaba's trading is still predominantly in China. And we had proof of this as they were reporting great earnings during the trade war. But what made me so interested in Alibaba was more around the fact of what was going on with the most valuable company in the world, Amazon. Like I mentioned before, Amazon is making most of their money from their retail side. But what I didn't touch on was the interesting fact of how much of the retail business was being powered from third-party sellers on Amazon. Since 2017, third-party sellers have accounted for over 50% of all the sales on Amazon. And that's a huge percentage. But also, a huge percentage of these third-party sellers are using Alibaba in order to source their products that they sell on Amazon. This basically means that as Amazon continues to grow in the background, Alibaba will also end up growing in some kind of way. Now, obviously, this is a lot of speculation and assumptions on my side, but since I started investing in Alibaba, I've seen a healthy return. And this obviously is skewed due to the online push from COVID-19. However, I definitely feel that Alibaba has some great foundations to keep them going for many years ahead. Therefore, it's definitely a company I'll be holding on to and probably looking to buy more shares in the future. And finally, Whitbread. And before you think it, they have nothing to do with the bread companies like Hovis. Or was it just me who thought that when I first heard the name Whitbread? But actually, Whitbread is UK's largest hospitality company. And the reason why you actually probably know who they are is because they own Premier Inn, Brewers Fayre, Beefeater, Cookhouse and Pub, and a few more brands. But the reason why I bring them up today is because last week they delivered their annual statement. And they were very keen to remind investors that they were in good financial health. They started their new financial year with £503 million in cash and a revolving credit facility of £950 million. They have, however, cut their dividends to keep cash inside the business during this unprecedented times. But with figures like that in their bank, it shows that they should be quite comfortable during this current crisis. But on top of that, due to its financial health, they also fall under the bracket of becoming an issuer under the UK Government Corporate Financial Facility, which means that Whitbread can issue debt that is then backed by the HM Treasury, which is why they're also trying to raise £980 million by creating and selling new shares. So, how is Whitbread in such a great financial position? Well, a lot of this comes down to the fact that 2 years ago, they sold Costa, yep, that's Costa the coffee company, to Coca-Cola for £3.9 billion in cash. However, they did also spend the last 2 years using about £2 billion of that on buying back shares. Now, doing the maths, Whitbread should still be left with about £1.9 billion. However, Costa was generating them a lot of revenue growth, and it was seen that after they sold it to Coca-Cola, their year-on-year revenue growth went down from 9% to 1.24%. So, what happened to the other £1.9 billion? Well, just before the corona pandemic, they decided to use a large amount of the Costa money to expand out into Germany. Now, currently, while lockdowns are still in place, Whitbread are burning through £80 million a month. But obviously, thanks to the financial situation that they're in, they probably seem a lot calmer than the other hotel companies out there. So, should I invest in Whitbread? The answer is a bit yes and a bit no. With the current situation being so unknown for when hotels etc. will open again, and also the unknown of when people will be holidaying again, and also whether their bet on the German market will work or not, it does make it very risky to buy shares hoping that the company will outperform the FTSE 100. However, on the flip side, in 2019, Whitbread were able to return over £150 million to shareholders through dividends and buybacks. This then makes it a pretty good investment when thinking about the fact that the share price is currently lower than normal, and it is pretty likely that they will open back the dividends to shareholders when things start to get back to normality. So it could make sense to buy shares in Whitbread now if you are looking at it for a dividend portfolio. However, there is still a lot of uncertainty about the hospitality industry, so there is quite a bit of risk on truly predicting the future of this company. I personally will probably wait a little bit of time and watch the share price before deciding to dive in and buy some of it. So I hope that you've gained some insight in the research of the companies that I've been looking at this week. But as always, I have no financial background at all. So everything I talk about is my own opinion, and I strongly suggest that you should also go and do your own due diligence before taking any advice from myself. But at the same time, I hope that this has given you a starting point to do your own research. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and make sure you hit the bell button as well so that you get notified when my next video comes out. But at the same time, if you liked the video or even if you didn't, why not hit the like button as well? And feel free to share and comment. See you in the next video.